So this is for when you're towing. This is for when you want to look cool.
Hey everybody, unfortunately I had shot an intro to this video and it got lost in the matrix somewhere.
As you can see, we've had our eye on you for some time now, Mr. Anderson.
You guys remember the $5,000 crawler hauler that I built to haul the Samurai? It's done absolutely awesome for me. Okay, I've taken it all over the country, haven't had any issues. The truck has done great. Now that is $5,000 buying it and putting parts into it total. So when you have a vehicle that you've only put $5,000 in complete, including the purchase, you're gonna have to put some more money into it over time, especially to drive it across the country. In this case, I need new tires, new brakes. I'm gonna add some overload springs because I'm gonna haul the Cherokee on here all the way to Pennsylvania. And while I know that it's completely capable of it and there's zero issues, all I'm doing is just adding some sway resistance there that I want, a 2,000 pound sway resistance that I don't think I'll need. Because I don't need it with the Samurai. You know, I've needed to update the mirrors, I've needed to update some interior pieces, and obviously underneath stuff. So that's what we're gonna do today. I hope you guys stay tuned. Here we go. If you guys were following along in the Moab series, you know that my window broke. Matt and I tinted this ourselves at the Airbnb and put it in. But one of the things that's still bad is my mirrors. My mirrors are busted up here. And I found that through a little research that you can fit 08 and newer mirrors that are much bigger and larger and fancier. So we're gonna make this truck fancy.
Colt's lying to you. The real issue is he can't see that well, so he needs bigger mirrors.
That's really it. I am blind and deaf. Drop it. Don't drop it. Drop it. You got all of them? Must be one still left. Oh, no, there we go. Got it. Do you guys always save the little rubber things, anything you get, rubber caps and stuff? Because I always do.
They come in handy for isolators. Rubber isolators. Now, is there a hole for this?
Now, I want to show you, yeah, there should be right there. Show you the difference of these mirrors. The fisheye is supposed to be much better and they stretch out better, and if I actually do wire it up, I'll have defrosted mirrors and a blinker if I want to get really crazy.
Something's rattling in there.
Sounds like something's already broken it. Thanks, eBay.
I wonder if it's the light bulb that's screwy in there.
Probably. You want to fix my poopy cup holder?
Oh, hot tamales. Looks like I need a 8mm tiny little ratchet.
8mm ratchety wrench?
Yeah.
Okay.
Electric one if you got it. They had the little two on the front weren't enough.
Why do women like mechanics? We're good with our hands.
There we go. Got it.
Yay.
Look at that.
Man.
You have a Chick-fil-A sauce holder right here.
That's what it is now.
Put your Chick-fil-A dipping sauce right there. Perfect. Oh.
And for all you youngins out there, that's not 2 brake pedals. Great news, guys. Rats Nest is mobile, but I still got a lot to do to it. I think this is where my brake noise is coming from. Yikes. So those grooves in the rotor are what you don't want to see when you're doing brakes, and man, I can even feel them on the backside. What that means is I'm going to have to take everything apart and put new rotors on when I go ahead and put the new calipers. Fortunately, I did it with power stop brakes, so I'm going to do the power stop drilled and slotted rotors along with their caliper and their brake pads. So we're going to do the whole thing all in one shot. One of the things I was worried about too, which I went ahead and picked up the e-brake shoes that go inside the rotor, because this thing's got enough torque that I actually drove through it twice and now I don't have an e-brake. So I wanted to go ahead and get that fixed at the same time while fixing this, while you have it all apart. So I've had a lot of people debate me on which way you're supposed to have the slots, if you're supposed to have it to where it pushes air into the rotor to catch the air, or to go out to relieve the air, the heat out. And that's what I've always said, is you want to relieve the heat out. Well, they went ahead and proved it for me right there, rear passenger side, which means it's going to roll that way and let the heat go out from the middle of the rotor out. So if you ever buy drilled and slotted rotors, that's the direction you want. And Power Stop was nice enough to actually make it idiot proof. Well, it's hard to tell, but that is straight metal on metal down there. There's no pad left. So that's probably what my grinding noise was. That's bad. So one of the reasons that I decided to do Power Stop brakes over just going with eBay specials is because I am actually hauling a lot of weight. I am hauling another vehicle on this thing. I want to make sure that I have the best of the best when it comes to doing this stuff. And I also want to make sure that it will stop. And you're going to thank me for that. There are some things you never want to get cheap on. In this case, for this truck, for this specific application, I definitely want to have good quality pads and rotors. In fact, I just noticed this now. Check this out. Can you see how thin that rotor is? It's been dragging that long. See how thick it is here and how thin that is? Yikes. So because this has got a rubber brake line, I'm just going to go ahead and pinch it off to try to save fluid and have it from leaking. And I like to just use like this style of vice grip on it. And I've had really good luck doing it that way without hurting anything. As long as it's rubber, you definitely don't want to do that with a stainless steel brake line, but you can do it with a rubber one and usually be okay. All right, let's take a look here. I'd say that's metal on metal. What do you guys say? Now to take this rotor off, I have to take the axle out. So I'm going to have to unbolt the axle, pull the axle out. You have a wheel bearing just like you would in the front of a Dana 60 where you have an axle nut on a spindle and your wheel bearings. You have to actually set that tension. But we'll go ahead and pull it all out and then pull the rotor off, and then it bolts in from the back side here. So I'll take those bolts off and then put the new rotor on. So I went ahead and jacked this side up, try to keep the oil from draining out. Now we have to take all these pieces apart so that we can pull the bearing off of this spindle and then pull the wheel out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Ugh. And yeah, I'd say that rotor's roached. Yeah, you can see really easily there's the bolts that hold in this rotor. I'll unbolt that, put the new one on. I'll go ahead and probably add just a little bit of grease here on this seal because I don't ever want the seal to leak. So I'll probably add a little grease maybe there on the spindle. But I'm going to change the shoes out real fast before that. The easiest way to change the shoes out, you just pull these two clips, pull this spring, they should come right out, and then just put it back together. The great thing about nowadays is if you're doing drum brakes, take a picture with your phone. Take a picture with your phone, and then you can just go back and look exactly at what you need to do if you're not sure on how it goes back together. The biggest things you have to remember when you put on calipers is that you want your bleeder screw at the highest point of the caliper. So like this caliper, technically I could mount it on the other side, but then the bleeder screw would be down at the bottom, and then I'm not getting the air out. So that's the one big mistake I've seen people make when they're trying to bleed brakes, is they put the calipers on the wrong sides, and they have the bleeder screw in the wrong place, and they're not able to bleed the brakes correctly. So why I'm really excited about running these Power Stop brakes is, number one, I'm getting a whole new caliper, I'm getting new rotors, I'm getting new pads, and these are carbon fiber pads, so they're going to stop good, they're going to work good, they're going to last when I'm really putting the brake pressure to them. Now, if you're going to buy regular brake pads, I always tell people steer clear of the lifetime warranty pads at your auto parts store because they're full of metal and they'll actually eat up your rotor trying to save the pad, and then you end up replacing rotors and pads anyway. So I know I've mentioned this before on my social media, but I've never had a chance to mention it on video, is that hauling the Samurai on this Ford has been the best thing ever. Not pulling a trailer, not having to haul, you know, a whole nother deal. I'm going to tell you right now, when I go down to like Matt's Off-Road Recovery, when I go down to Sand Hollow from South Dakota, I literally am saving 4 hours on my drive. And when you think about it, one is because obviously this truck gets pretty good fuel economy and it's got a pretty big tank, so I can go a little farther to fill ups. The other thing is when you're pulling a trailer, when you're going up and down passes, mountain passes, going through turns, you slow down sooner. You got more weight, so you're having to slow down sooner. You have to pay attention to a lot more stuff because you have that extra length. My time stops even at fuel stops because I can take up a regular parking spot. I mean, it's a long parking spot, but I can take up a regular one as opposed to needing to find a place to park my trailer or to fuel up to get a place to park my trailer. All that saves time. And when you go on a long distance trip, it is saving me tons of time. Tons and tons of time. So if I never have to pull a trailer again, I'm going to try to prevent it. One of the things I do know, though, is that with this truck, the Samurai is extremely light. I mean, by light, I mean it weighs, I think it was like 2,800 pounds before I put water in the front tires. Now, with that being said, everything on it's aluminum. I know the Cherokee's heavier, and this is my answer to that, is I'm going to do these Hellwig overload springs. Why did I choose the Hellwig overload springs? Because this is the absolute easiest way to gain more towing capacity, and it takes literally minutes to put on. So like I showed you before, this is just tons and tons of asphalt. And I could sit here and chip away at this. This is going to be such a pain in the butt to try to get those U-bolts off. If I were trying to do a airbag, my problem with that is this is a cabin chassis truck. And so I had like a 30% chance of getting the right ones, of ordering the correct ones. And when you live where I live, you know, I don't really want to have to try to order it 3 or 4 times to finally get the right one. This is how awesome easy these are. They literally sit right on top of your overload springs. Just like that. All I gotta do now is put the U-bolts on and cinch them down to 50 foot-pounds. And what I'm gonna do then is I gain about 2,000 pounds of load capacity on my overloads, but yet still maintain the stock ride when driving down the road, because it doesn't change, you know, it's sitting right off of the pad there, so it doesn't change my overload rating of just driving down the road. So you can maintain a stock ride, but then also gain 2,000 pounds of load rating on your crawler hauler. So we got the rear done, all the brakes are done, my idle leafs are in. The next thing I want to do before I take off is I want to go ahead and swap batteries out. And I decided to go with Optima yellow tops. I've had really, really good luck over the years with Optima batteries. I know there's kind of this controversy. People just like to complain, I think, more than anything. But I've personally had really good luck with Optimas. And I'm going to put 2 yellow tops in here because I want that deep cycle on this truck. One of the most common issues that you run into with diesels having issues is just not having enough juice to start up and run the ECU and everything else. So in this case, that is what I'm doing. Well, that's a little crazy. I literally was just taking these batteries out and noticed that the battery holder, the bolt, and the little wedge are gone on this battery. I can just wiggle it around and do what I want with it. So that's not good. This one has it. I'm just gonna have to find a bolt. That is the nice thing about Optimas. I want to show you guys. The nice thing about Optimas is they always come with these extra pieces, parts, and one of the things that they come with is a wedge. And contrary to popular belief, if you don't have this wedge, you're probably going to have to pay for one. I don't know what they sell for at the auto parts store, if they can have one or find one, but you probably have to go to a salvage yard or something and rip one out. So here's the old wedge, the one wedge, and the bolt. I'm not going to need this wedge because I got the new wedges with the Optima, but I am going to need another one of these bolts. How many of you guys do a collection like this? Now, I live a solid hour away from any major metropolitan area. And so when I need parts, I just can't get them in time. And especially if it's a weekend or late at night and I'm working on stuff, a lot of times it's like, oh, they're going to close in 30 minutes while I'm an hour away from getting there. So I bought this, I think, off of Amazon or something like that. And all I do now is I marked them, and that way, you know, I have Christmas trees, all the plastic Christmas trees, rubber caps, linch pins, different linch pins, springs, rivets, brake line pieces, cotter pins, everything else. And that way I got a little bit of organization. Now, finding bolts still, there's just no fast way of doing it. I don't have a bolt bin. I wish I did have a bolt bin. If somebody out there had some rad bolt bin, I would love to get it off you if you have it laying around, because I'd like to have an organized bolt bin. But until I can get that, I have this. And all I did was separate it between smaller bolts and larger bolts. So in this case, I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes probably digging through trying to find a bolt that matches this or real close to it. So I wanted you guys to be able to see the Jeep with the new windshield and new tires. So I had to wait a day here to get the tires put on and get the windshield put in, because I can mount the tires, but I don't have a way of balancing them here in South Dakota. So I took them over to Discount Tire, had them balance them up for me, and we put a new windshield in there. I also hit up the junkyard, got a few pieces I need, so I'm going to go ahead and put in that switch panel from Rough Country. That way, at least I have it. I won't have all my lights wired in, but at least it's ready to go. So I put the Patagonia Milestar ATs on the Ford, and the reason I did that is because I've had them on my Power Wagon for over a year and a half, and they've done great. And here in South Dakota, we get crazy weather fluctuations, like 70-degree swings in under 24 hours easy, and it is really hard on rubber. When you have cheap tires, you'll see them weather check, and that's really how I determine my tire quality. If they weather check, if you buy some cheapo tires and they weather check. So I always try to find a quality on a budget, and that's why we've stuck with Milestars. I think that you get a high level 2, low level 1 tire quality at a level 3 price. All right, guys, here's a sneak peek on Rats Nest. Check it out. I got all my parts are in, basically. Everything's running and driving. Now what I need to do is I still need to rebuild the front end. The front end works, but the axle seal on this side's leaking. I need to put new U-joints in it, and I want to put lockouts on it because I want to drive it. So I got Yukon Lockouts, basically because they don't break. And if they ever did break, they default into locked position. And I've never seen anybody break one. Doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but I haven't seen it. Also, Matt is probably going to run, try these cool old Warren Slugs. If you guys remember the old Warren Slugs, they don't make these anymore, I don't think. But we're going to put those, I'm going to give those to him to put on the back of the Scorpion for the rear steer. So there's my extended fender flares. It really sits pretty nice. I got about 8 pounds of air in the tires right now. I got the Iron Rock Link kit, nice 3-link setup. They gave me the bracket that moves my track bar an inch forward, if you guys remember that. So it's out of the way when I move the front end forward, and I move the back end back. All the rust repairs done. Check out the inside. A lot of stuff to do here, but what I'm thinking about doing for now is something like that. That'll keep it in. I just got the windshield done. I got the carpet back in with the, everything underneath it's Herculined. We got the DNC Extreme roll cage in, which turned out really, really nice. Got my Rough Country cooler, which is pretty awesome because I got quite a few friends that already have these. I've been running them for 6 months to a year. They've had great luck with these coolers, so I'm excited. I still got to wire it in. I got this sweet Rough Country switch panel that I got to wire in, and that's why I don't have this stuff in, because I'm not going to have it all wired up. I don't have all my lights in yet, but I'm going to go ahead and wire this in because it's really, really, really easy. It's actually stupid easy. If you guys have ever done one of these or done a switch panel, you know how much pain in the butt this is, and it's already done for me. All I got to do is just plug in the harness that I've already fed in here. The bracket actually bolts in the engine bay and works really good. There's my Yukon Lockouts I still need to throw in. If you guys remember, I made the Rough Country slider that's originally for this, for the spare tire, and I put in 2 fire extinguishers with the BleepinJeep quick disconnects one on each side. That way I can get to either side if I need to. I'd hate to put all this time and money into it. I realize I've been working on this thing for a year, guys, a year. And so it's been a long ongoing process. Now, I haven't built my rear bumper yet. I still need to do that. It's a high clearance bumper, but I have that too. That was given to me at a BleepinJeep fan ride a few years back. We got the BleepinJeep cubby buddy in here so I can put some oil or whatever. I don't want to give everything away yet because I still got a lot to do. I still got to do body work and paint work. I did build this front bumper. This is, if you guys remember, this is the Barnes bumper. And then I took my affordable bender and just bent out some tubing around it. I even matched it to, check that out, matched it to the trick angles of the worn winch. So that's pretty rad. And that's a smaller, that's the 8,000 pounds, so it fits in there really nice. Because the Cherokee, I normally would not be hauling the Cherokee, but I haven't driven it more than 50 yards, so I don't want to, what I don't want to do is try to drive this thing all the way across the country completely unknown. Now there's some things, here's some other things, oops. Here's some other things I want to show you guys real quick too. So there's a few other things I got to do under the hood real fast. I have to bleed my brakes again. I did take it for a little test drive around the yard, and I have to pump them up. So I got to bleed my brakes again. One of the things I noticed, I'm going to go ahead and pull this liner out. If you guys know anybody that sells this liner, please let me know, because I need one of these. And if there's a company that makes them or whatever, let me know in the comments. Also, I need to change this battery out. So this is, I run Optimas and everything, and especially in off-road vehicles. Like I said, this one's dated from 10/09, and that was my personal handwriting, which is great for moving it to move vehicles around, but I don't want to have it be my user battery. Even though it holds charge and does fine, I want to go ahead and put a yellow top in here too. I hope you guys enjoyed the little snippet of Rats Nest. I hope to see you guys at one of our events, or one of the events we will be at. And if you're looking for the fan ride at Windrock, we are partnering with the Warn Run after Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion. So go to Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion and then hang out with us right after, and let's go wheeling. You guys like this video? Check these out. Thanks for watching. Much betterist.